Hey there, thanks for partnering with us. My name is Isaac, and I do DevRel for Featherless AI, and I'm super excited to show what we're offering to you today. So, this is the Hackathon Setup Guide. I'm just going to walk through the various pages, and hopefully you'll get a little bit of a better understanding about what we do and what we can offer. In short, what we do is we provide inference. Inference is the actual computation needed to get an AI to give an output. So, chatting with ChatGPT is inference, using tool calling is inference, agentic frameworks, that's all inference. And what we do is we partner with Hugging Face, and we have about 25,000 models in our catalog. Our whole goal is to make every single model as easily accessible as possible. So if you need, let's say, a fine-tuned model on something specific to medical data, or if you need, let's say, a model that's fine-tuned on something like, a very uncommon dialect that's not very well spoken, and ChatGPT may not have that data. If it's on Hugging Face, the chances are we have it and you can call it. So this is your setup guide. Getting set up is really easy. You can either click the link, you can enter the coupon code manually, or you will have a big QR code that you can just simply scan with your phone. From there, all you'll have to do is just choose your provider for OAuth, and then you'll have access to 1 month of our premium plan, which is $25 a month. You'll have access to any model, up to 4 concurrent connections, which I will talk about a little bit later. We have unlimited tokens, but we use a concurrency model instead. And you'll have access to Kimi K2.5 and GLM5. So, to get started, it's really simple. All you have to do is go to your profile page and create a new API key. Once you have the API key, you can use it just like any other OpenAI SDK compatible API key. So anywhere that supports, basically any code that supports OpenAI, just typical tool calling and function calling and inference, we support it. The next thing is our model catalog. This is currently, we're kind of changing this a little bit as we go, but as it stands, you can sort by the different parameters, the different types, the companies, and you can find what you're looking for. I have some recommended models later in this PDF that I'll talk to. And then you can just simply, curl a request, use Python, see if you like the way the model is acting, and then go from there. So here, these are some really popular ones. My personal favorite is Kimi K2.5, and I'll actually show you a live demonstration about how I use it personally for myself after this. And this is constantly changing, and we work really, really hard to get the best models as fast as possible. So keep checking in on our platform. We got lots of cool stuff. We have 2 different ways. Here's a couple ways you can make API calls. You can use Python, just straight requests, or you can use the OpenAI SDK. This is preferred, and the OpenAI SDK is the more dominant, preferred way to call LLMs. So I would recommend using this. We also have 2 endpoints, the chat completions and the V1 completions. Again, the chat completions is the more modern standard way of talking to AIs. But if for whatever reason you need the legacy completions endpoint, it's there and it's available for you. Now, let's say you do come into some errors, you run into some errors. These are the most common errors that you may find. Maybe it's unauthorized. 500 would be an internal service error. The way that I always learned about this when I was in school was that a 400 is something I did wrong. 500 is something the server did wrong, as a good rule of thumb. And the next thing I would just like to mention is that we operate under a concurrency model. So instead of so the idea is that you can use the AIs as much as you want, but you have a flat fee that you pay per month, right? So if you want to call a really small model, that doesn't take as much bandwidth. So you can call up to 4 of them at a time. If you want to call some of the more powerful models like Kimi K2, which is, I think it's like 1 trillion parameters or something crazy like that, that'll use up 4 of the channel bandwidth, so to speak. And in your premium plan that you'll get, you'll have 4 channels to work with. So just be mindful of that. In addition, we also have application guides for you to check out. And that's really it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via email, isaac@featherless.ai. You can just let me know. I'm also on Discord too, AIZK, that's my handle. I would recommend that you just ping me. Instead of pinging me, just DM me directly. That'll go right to the top of my inbox, and I'll be able to answer any questions that you have. And now I'd like to show you, a lot of people might see this and think, okay, this is cool, but like, what can you actually do with this? Why is this so cool? And I'm going to show you a really cool personal use that I use Featherless for. Um, let's see. So this is Kimi K25, and what I'm part of this group called decomp.dev. And what we do is we decompile old video games that are written from scratch in C and C++. These are like 20, 25-year-old games. The purpose of this is for game preservation and historical artifacts. While everyone's always looking towards the future with AI, it's really cool to kind of go back in time and see how code was made 20, 25 years ago with extreme limitations in memory and size. And this is just a fun project. And it's very complicated. It requires you to use basically the game ROM, dumping it, and then getting assembly, and then having to write C code that will compile into that. So what I actually do is I have Kimi K25, and I have a very custom set of instructions, and I tell it there's like this large map of files that we use, and I tell it to iteratively make progress over time. And this is actually really good for AI because we can measure the percentage that they are able to decompile the games over time. So I have it set to around like 80%, and Kimi will just go and go and go and go. In fact, it might be going a little bit too much here. Um, okay. Yeah, so Kimi is really good. I am still working on the prompting to let it run autonomously, but I've had it run autonomously for over an hour where it would just read the files, it would create the C code, it would match the assembly, it would see how close it is. And for me, again, I don't have to worry about the token usage. I just have to worry that the agent is running fine. And I'll come back, and then once it's at like 80%, I'll try and tweak it with like Claude or Codex and get it to 100 and then push it to the repo. So it's a pretty cool project. Here's the one that I'm working on. And you can actually see that the progress over time has started to grow as the team has started to introduce new AI. Yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, let me know.